Hi, and welcome to my final project, The Big Interview, by Brooke A. Snyder for Education 650. Greetings, and thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today. My name is Brooke Snyder, and I am currently a kinder teacher for a private international school in Curacao. Though this is my first year teaching in a lead role, I have many years of experience as a preschool teacher and elementary assistant in the U.S. and abroad. I completed my bachelor's degree in education studies in 2021, and I'm currently pursuing a master's of education set to complete in June of 2023. I would like to belong to a school which believes in a culture of universal achievement. This is a philosophy developed by Damon Lopez, which asserts that schools should develop a culture within their organization that pushes for and believes in the capability of all students to reach their academic standards and that all schools are capable of achieving this. Developing a culture of universal achievement requires several things. The commitment of staff to this overarching standard is the key to its success. Schools and administration should be looking at resources available at their school to allocate to areas of most need. Staff will need to hold themselves and each other accountable to the implementation of the culture and supporting one another as needed to achieve these goals. The culture of universal achievement centers on student success as its primary motivating force within a school. It also drives teachers to even greater heights in their own classrooms. The changing landscape of education demands that teachers maintain up-to-date skills. I believe strongly in collaborating with my fellow teachers in order to share information and strategies that can help me to better reach my own students. I feel called upon to teach students critical thinking and problem-solving skills, which means I must model those skills for them myself. Thinking outside the box and creating unique solutions to problems are strengths that can help the classroom and keep it running more smoothly. This goes hand in hand with flexibility, and I pride myself on being able to make changes and adaptations as quickly as I need to and as quickly as schedules demand. I'm also digitally literate, able to understand, approach, and evaluate the waves of information available to me in online sources. I'm also strong with data, statistics, and various facts, making me informationally literate as well. As an international teacher, I have a unique global perspective, which drives my passion for cultural awareness and environmental protection. I also recognize that the changes to teacher and parent communication as determined by the pandemic has pushed us to be more deliberate in our methods of communication, as well as more empathetic to the needs of family. I believe strongly that the best systems of class management are successful because they include the students that they seek to oversee. I begin each year by creating a mutual collection of class expectations with my students as their collaborators. We discuss what are important shared values for our classroom, and I guide us into putting this into language my students will be able to understand. I also accompany each rule or expectation with illustrations for the students unable to read the words. We also determine what the role of the student is in reinforcing these expectations and have several lessons on tattling versus reporting. I also have a gold tag system of positive reinforcement that is introduced on the first day of school and used heavily throughout the first few weeks to highlight adherence to classroom rules. This is an example of what I would typically implement in my classroom. Most of these are pretty self-explanatory, so I'll hit just a couple of the highlights. Explain your thinking, because it is important for students to become confident in speaking about their thought processes. This also helps other students to learn from each other. Ask for help when you need it. Students should feel comfortable turning to teachers or their peers in tricky situations. Always speak the truth. Students should have a trusting relationship with their teacher in order to foster honesty. I would also always speak the truth to them. Push through challenges and always try your best. Growth mindset is an important skill for young learners to acquire, and it is a core value in my classroom. Students should know that it is okay to make mistakes and that no one is requiring perfection. They should simply always do their best. As a new teacher with always more to learn, collaboration has been a cornerstone of my continuing improvement in my classroom. I am able to draw upon the experiences and wisdom of other professionals to find new ways to drive learning forward for each of my students. I am often asked to think critically about the issues other teachers are facing in order to be a source of support for myself. I do believe in more meaningful and less mandatory collaborative sessions. This means I don't believe that recurring scheduled collaboration meetings are always required, but should be done during times when issues arise and it is beneficial to teacher and that takes less time away from preparation. This helps to narrow the focus of meetings to what is necessary to discuss and make the best use of the time allotted for all teachers. Aligning our standards to our teaching plan is one of the stronger tools we have available for ensuring that students across different schools and classrooms are progressing at a similar pace. I seek to create my lesson plans and activities with desired standards firmly in mind. I first identify a need in the classroom. For example, we seem to need just a little extra attention to a kindergarten measurement standard which for some reason wasn't connecting. I developed an objective that is narrow in focus with a clear target goal. For example, students will be able to compare the length of two objects using longer than and shorter than mathematical language. I will use that goal to create an activity which guides students to mastery and provides me with an opportunity for formative assessments in the process to see where I may need to adjust in the future. While I am very aware of the prevalence of the multiple intelligences theory as proposed by Howard Gardner, I do not yet fully subscribe to this way of thinking. Multiple intelligences theory presses the idea that intelligence is no longer simply just a capacity for processing and retaining new information, but is instead a scale of different intellectual aptitudes that a person can exhibit. I do, of course, believe that people have differing interests and abilities, but I have yet to find studies and data which can support the pressure to use this model as a guide for my teaching strategy. I do keep my students' different interests in mind when working to develop engaging lessons and activities, or when I need to have a new way of approaching differentiation. However, I remain committed to the VARC model, or visual, auditory, reading, writing, and kinesthetic, as the guiding force for differentiating in my classroom. Typically, I approach my instruction using the backward design model. Much like the process of standards alignment, I first look for an area of need and then develop a learning objective which would support the mastery of this concept. I then determine what outcomes and assessments would be necessary to determine student progress after the lesson. I then develop a lesson plan and activity which would allow me to best guide my students toward the desired outcome with a minimum of distraction and unnecessary overfill of information. Summative assessments are seldom used at my grade level, but I'm certainly familiar with these in other levels. A summative assessment takes a broad overarching look at student progress in a set of standards and provides a clear picture of the mastery or progress a student has made in this area. We do these 4 times a year in kinder, with students having an opportunity to sit one-on-one with the teacher to demonstrate what they have learned in key areas. Formative assessments are something I use constantly, on a daily basis in my classroom. It takes the form of simple observation, thumbs up, thumbs down questions, exit tickets, worksheets. These let me know immediately how we're progressing in our understanding, and it gives me the opportunity to make adjustments as needed to the pacing and the distribution of content. Many teachers are reluctant to share their scores, results, and data with other teachers out of a fear of judgment or perceived failures. I have been hesitant in the past to share my MAP testing results for this very reason. However, data sharing should not be associated with a negative consequence or meaning for teachers. We need to use these results to perform better targeted collaborations that identify areas of improvement and lead to the sharing of new ideas for forward movement. To this end, administrators should also be providing data in a timely manner in ways that make clear the purpose of the data in a way that is decipherable for teachers. I believe I am well suited for the position in your school. I have spent years developing core 21st century skills to better enhance my teaching, cooperation, leadership, and communication. I am eager to collaborate with other teachers to grow the minds of our students. I use standards-based planning and assessment in order to center my focus on student achievement. And I do all of this within a well-managed classroom, which includes our students in the process and creates a safe and loving environment for all learners. I do appreciate the opportunity to interview with you today, and I hope to hear back from you soon.